All right, we got 340 head update. This stud for the valve cover was broken off. I couldn't get it out. I drilled it, and I tried to tap it with a 1/4 20 tap, and I broke that tap twice. Well, then I went in with a third tap. That's this one here, and you can see I broke that one, but I broke that one flush right to the surface. So I managed to find a 2-flute 1/4 20 broken tap removal tool, and you could see the tip of the tap on there. And I was using these 2-flute taps. I mean, these are from the 80s. I got them at a machine shop I was working at. So I got me a legitimate 3-flute tap and retapped the hole and got it in there, tightened it up, and this particular stud was totally gone, but the threads were good, so I was able just to tap that in there. And we can see here's the stud and bolt set from Rogue Bolts 1/4 20, and that's for a 1973 J cylinder head. Now, another thing that I did was I realized that my camshaft had, the 450 lift on the valves for the lobes for intake and exhaust, but it only has a 19-degree separation, so it's pretty steep cam, and that puts a little more pressure on it. These springs, the lift on these cab for the stock lift 340 cab was 338 intake and 442 for exhaust, but it had like a wider separation. That means the lobe is curved more. It's not so slanted down quickly. One of the things that's really important is you have to find your installed height of your valve, and you can do this with the valve on the cylinder head. So if you take your dial caliper and you set it up so it's right at the bottom of the keeper, hitting the base of the cast iron where it sits. And here we see that this measurement is 1.70. This is very important, so you have to make sure your installed lift is 1.70. And that's where I got the Mopar Performance Valve Spring number 4620249. It could be P4620249. This spring will keep it from bottoming it out, or what they call coil bind. That's if the spring compresses all the way so it's touching each coil. You don't want that because that could damage the valve train. And another thing it could do is if the spring's too loose, like these springs are, then you could get valve float at higher RPMs. That's when a valve won't close fast enough. So to avoid these things, I got those valve springs coming. They're good to a 5.10 intake and exhaust cam lobe lift. So they're well within the parameters, so I won't have to worry about either one of those. Now these keepers they're hardened steel from 1973, and they came with the 7-degree caps. So there's 7-degree keepers and 7-degree caps in hardened steel, so I could use those. But it was a fight. Busting the tap off in there was crazy, and finding this tool, it was really hard because they don't even You know, they didn't even make this. Some guy at Kansas had this. I had to take each of the jaws out and file the edges a little so I could get in the very small side flute holes to get it in there, to get that little piece of tap out of there. The rest of it I managed to chisel out. Very, very lengthy. But yeah, use a good tap. Taps from the 80s from the old machine shop. Not good. Although, you know, if you are visiting old machine shop stuff from the 80s when you worked there, this Canon dial caliper, it comes in really handy. It's a great thing to have. So there is the 340 cylinder head update. I'll be able to just put those springs on. They're a direct replacement. And one more time, just so you get it right, it's a P4620247 Mopar Performance valve spring for those lifts, and it's definitely necessary. So really happy I was able to save that stud and get it in there tight, and you know, she's ready to go after I swap those valves. And I'm going to put a little dab of assembly lube on the valve stem, you know, when I take the valves off and change the spring. Just little dabs, spin around a little bit more. It's a little better than the oil. All right, so there you got 340 1973, 188 intake, 160 exhaust valve, cylinder head update. All right, Plymouth!